9 days before the Pro Tour, Modern's deck to beat holds 12% of the field, and the decks built to kill it post the best numbers in the format. This is the complete state of Modern heading into Pro Tour Marvel Superheroes, and it starts with what Wizards did to the format back in May. Because everything about this metagame starts with 2 announcements. May 18th set the stage. Phlage and Lotus Field banned, Violent Outburst and Umezawa's Jite unbanned. June 29th then changed nothing, because nothing is running away, and the next announcement waits until August 10th, deliberately 3 weeks after the Pro Tour. The wild card of that announcement was Umezawa's Jite, banned when Modern was created back in 2011, legal again for the first time in 15 years. 2 charge counters every combat hit, and each counter shrinks a blocker, pumps your attacker, or buys life. And yet, it shows up in none of our archetype cores. This format is simply too fast for it. That ban was supposed to knock Boros energy down a peg. Instead, the Legend of Roku walked straight into the empty slot. 92 of 109 lists run it already, making it the fastest rising card in the whole deck. Even Wizards said the quiet part out loud. Affinity was the real winner of the shakeup. Keep that in mind, it comes back. First though, let's talk about the king itself. The engine hasn't changed a bit. Guide of Souls turns every creature you play into a life and energy trigger. Ocelot Pride snowballs cat tokens on any turn you've gained life. And Galvanic Discharge kills a creature for 1 mana while banking 3 energy. Easy to pick up, brutally consistent. That's why every table has one. Ocelot Pride looks like a joke and costs $40 anyway. Here is why. First Strike and Lifelink win every early trade. Any turn you gained life, it drops a free cat at end of step. And once you control 10 permanents, the City's Blessing copies every token that entered this turn. 1 white mana, exponential board. Ajani, Nakato Pariah ties the package together. A 2-drop that transforms into a planeswalker the moment your other cats die. Goblin Bombardment makes sure they die on your terms. Sacrifice a creature, deal 1 damage anywhere. And Voice of Victory is quietly infuriating. While it attacks, your opponents cannot cast spells during your turn. At all. Roku is the quiet, important part of the story. The saga Impulse draws 3 cards, fixes your mana, then flips into a 4/4 that makes 4 red mana every single attack. It isn't a Phlage clone, it's a different card that plugs the same hole and grinds even harder. The tuning around it is sharp too. Wrath of the Skies is a board wipe you size exactly to the turn. Boromir, rising fast out of the sideboard, walls off the format's free spells. And Ranger Captain of Eos is the biggest gainer after Roku itself. The deck lost its crown jewel and barely noticed. The king is not alone of the top though. Affinity is the number 2 deck and quietly the best positioned one. Mox Opal into Urza's Saga is the oldest artifact trick in Modern, but the payoffs are new school. Kappa Cannoneer grows unblockable behind Ward 4, and weapons manufacturing turns every artifact into damage on its way out. Urza's Saga might be the best land in the format. Chapter 2 turns it into a factory for constructs that grow with every artifact you control. Chapter 3 searches your library for any artifact costing 0 or 1, which in this deck means Mox Opal, the $245 rock that taps for any color once you have 3 artifacts down. Around the cutter sits Modern's leanest creature suite. Dragon's Rage Channeler grows and surveils on every spell, Monastery Swiftspear attacks the turn it lands, and Slickshot Showoff does both jobs at once. Plunge, pump, repeat. Is It Prowess is the cautionary tale. Corey Steel Cutter, the exact card Pioneer banned in May, is perfectly legal here and makes a monk every time you cast your second spell. Fast, cheap, everywhere. Whether it actually wins enough is a different question. We'll get to the receipts. Until then, keep the one line every pie chart deserves in mind. Now, the part that should worry the king. Amulet Titan is the purest, your removal doesn't matter deck in the format. Amulet of Vigor untaps the bounce lands as they enter, Spelunking makes everything arrive ready, and Summoner's Pact fetches Primeval Titan to end the game a turn before a fair deck is set up. The engine is one rules interaction. Amulet of Vigor untaps any permanent that enters tapped. The Karoo lands, like Simic Growth Chamber, enter tapped, tap for 2 mana, then bounce themselves back to hand for another land drop, with 1 amulet that is free mana every turn. With 2, the deck is playing a different game of Magic. Spelunking just makes everything enter untapped in the first place. Belcher is even ruder. The deck that already won a Modern Pro Tour on this exact plan. Almost no lands, reveal your whole library, 1 lethal shot. 5 trophies this month across 3 continents, off a centerpiece that costs 33 cents. And here's how a deck plays almost no lands. Modal, double-faced cards. Sink into Stupor and Seagate Restoration are spells on the front, on the back, and on the back, and while a card sits in your library, only its front face counts. So when Belcher reveals your deck, it never hits a land, and the entire library converts into damage. Sounds cute. It won a Pro Tour. And Broodscale hides a coin flip fast engine inside an unassuming shell. Eldrazi spawn loop into arbitrary damage, with Emrakul the Promised End on top as the fair deck's nightmare. Here is the exact loop. The loop is precise. Basking Broodscale creates an Eldrazi spawn every time it gets a +1 counter. Equip Blade of the Bloodchief, and every creature death adds exactly that counter. So, sacrifice a spawn for mana, that is a death, new counter, new spawn, forever. Add Glaring Fleshraker, and every spawn entering pings each opponent. Infinite mana, infinite damage, turn 3. Boros is not defenseless against all of this, and the sideboard shows it. Boromir counters every spell cast without paying mana, Cascade spells included, which is exactly how Living End enters play. And Wrath of the Skies scales to the board. Pay enough energy and a swarm of 0-cost spawn tokens disappears in one go. The arms race is very much live. Beyond the hunters, the rest of the map. The reanimation decks hunt from a different angle. Grixis grinds you out with Psychic Frog and Archon of Cruelty, while Goryo's Vengeance just flashes Gristlebrand back on turn 3. 2 very different combos, which is why we count them apart. Gristlebrand is why the whole trade is worth it. Goryo's Vengeance returns him with haste for exactly 1 turn. You attack for 7 with lifelink, then pay that life straight back to draw 7 cards, twice if you are feeling brave. He is exiled at end of turn, but by then the game usually is not close anymore. The Karn and Ugin decks assemble their Tron lands and simply go over the top. Ugin sweeps the board the turn he arrives. Karn fetches Silver Bullets out of the sideboard, and Thought-Knot Seer strips the best card from your hand on the way in. For these decks, Fair Magic is strictly optional. Living End is the format's best magic trick. Build a deck where nothing costs less than 3, and every Cascade spell, like Shardless Agent, is guaranteed to find Living End and cast it for free. Everything dies, the graveyards attack. And on the fair end of blue, Azorius Control just says no, with Teferi locking everyone out of instant speed. Before the scoreboard, one Marvel question. The preview season promised Marvel superheroes would reshape Modern. The honest count of cards that actually landed? 3. Hex Magic earned the biggest Marvel footprint in Modern. Mid-combo, the Storm deck exiles its spent hand and draws a completely fresh one, and the exiled cards stay playable until the end of your next turn. That is not card advantage, that is 2 hands in the same turn. 58 of 74 Ruby Storm lists agree. The other 2? Avengers Disassembled gives the land destruction deck a 3-mana choice. Sweep the board, or blow up a land. Exactly the flex a Blood Moon deck wants. And Loki, God of Mischief, is the sleeper. A card drawn every time you target something, in an artifact deck that targets constantly. Alright, receipts. Everything you just heard in 3 charts. One honesty note first. Archetype labels fragment, so we merge them, but only where the cores match card for card. Boros Aggro is Boros Energy. 3 affinity labels are 1 deck, and Land Destruction Panza is not an energy deck. Out of 58,000 modern lists we track, here are the 2,000 most recent. Boros Energy leads at 12.1%, Affinity at 8.7%, and then the field just keeps going. Every external tracker lands within a few decimals of this same picture. Sort the same list by top 8 rate, and the picture flips. Belcher converts at 73%, inflated by paper coverage, but still absurd. Azorius Control, Amulet Titan, and Tron all clear 50, while the deck to beat sits way down at 39. And MTGDecks.net's match database, their data, not ours, explains why. 54% overall. Heavy favorite into Prowess, which is the cautionary tale confirmed. But 44 against Belcher and 32 against Neoform. The king farms fair decks and dodges the hunters. Add it all up, 123 different event wins in a single month, and not one deck running away with it. That's the flattest healthy modern we've had in years. Nothing is anywhere near the 30% line that gets cards banned, which is exactly why Wizards touched nothing in June and scheduled the next check for August. So what does a pro do with all this? Decklist locked July 15th. And here's the twist. This Pro Tour's top 8 is a booster draft, the first limited top 8 in roughly 15 years. That draft top 8 changes everything about deck choice. Pros want a low variance modern deck they can pilot on autopilot, while their real prep goes into limited. Expect Boros Energy to be the most registered deck, and expect the sharp teams to attack it from the combo lane, because we have seen this movie before. The last modern Pro Tour, Edge of Eternities, was won by Belcher at 11-1, per Wizards' own coverage, in a room everyone knew would be full of fair decks. The winning move was not joining the King's Parade, it was aiming at it. One practical note before the verdict. Your local RCQ probably mirrors this exact picture. Expect Boros Energy and Prowess to be your most common opponents. Pack real graveyard hate. The reanimation block alone is 11.6% of the field. And keep sideboard slots for whatever beats the mirror, because everyone else read this report too. Bottom line, the volume pick is Boros Energy, and it's fine. It survived losing Phlage without blinking. The sharp pick is a combo deck aimed at it. And the deck to respect quietly is Affinity. Wizards name-checked it for a reason. Which brings the whole report, 2,000 lists, 8 chapters, down to 2 sentences. So that's the choice. The volume pick with 13 trophies and a target on its back, or the sharp picks aimed straight at it. The last modern Pro Tour says, don't sleep on the second one. The full report, every number, every deck list, every honest merge, is live now on DeckCortex.com. If this helped, subscribe. The Pro Tour breakdown lands right after Amsterdam. See you there.